The evening breeze at the stadium is always a mix of clamor and tenderness. Cheers and shouts rise and fall from the stands, while the synthetic track, bathed in the warm red glow of the setting sun, bears witness to the passion, regrets, and steadfast resolve of countless young athletes. For every runner, the track is far more than a mere arena for measuring speed. It is a battlefield for tempering one's character, defying mediocrity, and embracing life's imperfections. 16-year-old Lin Yu is one such chaser of light on this track, an athlete who is utterly ordinary, yet fiercely tenacious. Lin Yu is a middle and long-distance runner on the school track team, specializing in the 800-meter and 1,500-meter events. He possesses neither exceptional natural talent nor superior physical attributes. His height, endurance, and explosive power all seem unremarkable amidst a team teeming with gifted athletes. The coach has frankly stated more than once that middle and long-distance running hinges on talent and stamina, implying that Lin Yu's potential is capped and achieving standout results would be an uphill battle. While some teammates are prodigies who shatter records with minimal training, Lin Yu can only rely on relentless, day-after-day persistence to inch closer to their pace. To the outside observer, competitive sports are defined by glorious podiums, dazzling medals, and the limelight of public adoration. Yet, only those who truly step onto the track understand that the essence of the sport is often defined by monotony, exhaustion, and solitude. Long before dawn breaks, while others are still fast asleep, Lin Yu is already heading to the field, running through the morning mist. When night falls and everyone else has finished training and left, he remains, meticulously refining every detail of his start, breathing technique, and final sprint. Through the changing seasons, come rain or shine, he never wavers or stops. Countless training shirts have been soaked through with sweat, and the track bears the imprint of his innumerable footsteps. Old ankle injuries, aching knees, and the burning pain in his lungs during exertion have long since become the norm. It is not that he feels no fatigue or exhaustion. Rather, he holds an unwavering belief that there is no such thing as luck in sports. Every shining achievement is the result of countless moments spent gritting his teeth and pushing through. Talent may determine the starting point, but passion and persistence can rewrite the finish line. The City Youth Track and Field Championships stood as the year's most prestigious event, a stage where young athletes could prove their mettle. Competition within the team was fierce. Only the top 3 finishers would qualify to compete. For his exceptionally gifted teammates, the race might be a mere sprint to victory, but for Lin Yu, it represented the culmination of years of perseverance, his one and only chance to prove himself. Determined to seize this hard-won opportunity, he embarked on a grueling special training regimen. He ramped up the intensity and duration of his workouts, meticulously refining his running form and breathing rhythm. While others rested, he worked on his endurance. While they relaxed, he honed the finer points of his sprint. Plagued by exhaustion and recurring injuries, he spent countless late nights lying in bed, his body aching so intensely he lacked the strength even to lift an arm. Yet, the thought of giving up never once crossed his mind. But fate often reserves its toughest trials for the most determined souls. Just a week before the team qualifiers, during a routine high-intensity session, Lin Yu accidentally twisted his ankle while accelerating around a bend and crashed heavily onto the track. A wave of searing pain instantly washed over him. His ankle swelled and bruised rapidly, and every attempt to put weight on it sent a piercing jolt of agony through his body. The team doctor's diagnosis was clear: a ligament strain requiring complete rest. High-intensity competition was strictly forbidden. Ignoring this advice risked permanent athletic injury. In that moment, all his hopes, his perseverance, and his tireless efforts over the months and years seemed to crumble. As the sun dipped below the stadium fence, casting dappled light upon the dejected youth, the track remained warm beneath him. Yet his journey toward his dream felt as though it had been abruptly paused. Sitting alone on the empty track and watching his teammates running freely in the distance, Lin Yu felt a profound sense of helplessness and bewilderment for the first time. After years of day-in, day-out persistence, enduring countless monotonous hours and the pain of repeated injuries, he was tantalizingly close to his dream. only to be completely blocked by a sudden accident. Friends urged him to give up, pointing out that he lacked natural talent and was now injured. They argued there was no point in clinging to an unattainable goal and that quietly bowing out was the wisest choice. During that period, Lin Yu sank into an unprecedented slump. He no longer rushed to the track at dawn or stayed up late for extra training. Whenever he passed the familiar track, he would simply pause and gaze at it in silence. The track he had once loved so dearly had become a source of regret, something he was afraid to even confront. He began to question whether his persistence held any real meaning, wondering if an ordinary passion could ever truly rival raw talent and destiny. Noticing his despondency and inner struggle, his coach sat beside him on the edge of the track one evening. There were no forced consolations or hollow words of encouragement. Instead, the coach spoke quietly. The most moving aspect of competitive sports has never been the glory of the podium, but the stubborn refusal to admit defeat even when the road ahead is arduous. True defeat isn't about injury or losing a race. It's about personally giving up on what you love and ceasing to move forward. Those few words instantly snapped Lin Yu out of his confusion. He suddenly realized that his love for track and field had never been solely about medals, rankings, or the approval of others. What he loved was the freedom of cutting through the wind while running, the version of himself that refused to quit when the going got tough, and the burning passion of repeatedly pushing past his limits to surpass himself. Rankings were merely gifts from the competition, whereas persistence was the most precious answer his youth could offer. From that day on, Lin Yu rediscovered his original purpose. He stopped obsessing over fleeting races and rankings, focusing instead on healing his injury and gradually resuming his training. If he couldn't run at high intensity, he worked on core strength. If he couldn't sprint, he refined his breathing rhythm. Pain had slowed his pace, but it had failed to extinguish his passion. Shedding the impatience to succeed quickly, his training became steady, determined, and composed. He quietly buried the regret of missing the city meet deep within, transforming it into the drive to move forward. Through day-after-day rehabilitation and steady, incremental progress, his injuries healed and his weaknesses were gradually addressed. This time, he wasn't in a rush to match anyone else's speed. He focused entirely on surpassing the self of yesterday. 6 months later, the Provincial Youth Track and Field Open Tournament arrived as scheduled. Returning at the peak of his form, Lin Yu secured his qualification and stepped onto a grander, more expansive stage. On race day, the field was packed with elite talent. The track teemed with gifted athletes, yet no one expected much from this ordinary youth, someone who had previously failed to qualify and had battled through injury. The 1,500-meter race tested not just speed, but endurance, mindset, and sheer tenacity. As the race began, the naturally gifted runners surged ahead, creating a gap. Lin Yu, however, maintained a steady, composed rhythm. He held his position in the middle of the pack, conserving his energy and settling into his stride. Over the first kilometer, many competitors exhausted themselves by